Welcome, welcome. Hey. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Come and have a seat. Hey. Welcome, welcome everyone. Come in, welcome you all. Have a seat. We're going to be dealing with the 12 admonishments from the tribe of Asher.
It's a lot. Drum roll. Yo, that's a good ass beat. You gotta keep that beat.
Welcome you all in. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome you Soul Tribe. Welcome everybody in. So good to feel energy coming in. Got a wonderful message. About to switch on to something relaxing like I normally do. For anybody who may just be coming across me, my name is the Hierophant. I'm one half to Elemental Beings, Everyday Spirit Guide Ministry. So we just here doing our duty for the collective. Welcome you all, welcome you all in, welcome you all in. There's something odd in there. Okay. I've been hearing all sorts of noises throughout the night. Been a lot of spiritual things going on in the collective lately, so okay, let's get to it. So I'm going to purify with oil today. By oil, I connect with spirit through pure intent. So get in, sit down, man, sit down. We're gonna get to it. You know how I do. We're dealing with the 12 admonishments. And what the admonishments were, y'all, they are listed in the book of Deuteronomy, I believe the 37th chapter, and I believe they start somewhere around verse 14. So the admonishments, they were curses that were given to be delivered to basically humanity. They were given and they were delivered by the 12 tribes of Israel. But it was formulated down to Asher. Asher was the essential, it was the essential tribe that was called from the 12 to kind of deliver these admonishments. So what I've been doing is I've been using that to pivot into some correlative stories from the Old Testament that kind of really reflect the time that we're living in now and some of the experiences that we're having now. See, the Bible is a good book of reference, right? I have it here, I'll use it for a reference point. But I focus particularly on a lot of the Old Testament of the Bible, and it's not even because the Newer Testament is not applicable. It is, but we are returning back to the energy of Noah. See, the Bible speaks of a time when men will return back and it will be like the days of Noah. Well, we kind of like right there right now. So I'm using some stories from the Old Testament so that we can kind of get our spirits right, you know. So I'll be dealing with, today, we'll be focusing on Issachar, right? Issachar was the 9th son of Jacob, okay? Now, these tribes, they correlate particularly with non-ether beings, but, you know, a lot of people we stimulate from our spirituality, it links back to these energies when you kind of break it down. So, we dealing with Issachar, okay? The word Issachar itself, it means the seed of discernment, or they who have discernment, or they who know. That's what Issachar means. So we're dealing with Issachar and the 9th son. And for many of you, you may be new, so you might have to go back in the series. It's a series. We on like part 5 now. So we're dealing with Issachar. Now, we're dealing with the aspect of Jacob's curse and Moses' blessing. Because Jacob was a magician, and Jacob, on his deathbed, he kind of pronounced a lot of curses, or he kind of set a lot of things in motion that had to be, you know, reversed, so to speak. Generational curses, even on his own bloodline. So in regards to Issachar, we have Jacob. And Jacob basically curses Issachar because he simply doesn't believe that Issachar has what it takes, right? He says, I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but Jacob basically says to Issachar, you know, you strong, you like a donkey, but you know, you like cool with being like a maid, a task. You like to do tasks for others. So he basically was like, you know, your sons and you, or, you know, your lineage, you'll favor well, but you'll be in the service of others. So he kind of pronounced him to a certain kind of slavery. Now, Issachar was the type of man that he really didn't aspire to much. I mean, even given his birthright, Issachar was a man that really didn't, you know, he really didn't want to be in the front. And he couldn't be in the back, but if he could, he would have been cool with being in the back. That was the nature of Issachar. But the seed of Issachar, which was in his name. And see, Issachar, I'm going to reflect on Issachar because Issachar is relevant to a lot of us. Issachar was a man, a divine being, born a progenitor of a clan and a tribe. But his reluctance to really accept his namesake was to have discernment. This was Issachar. But the seed didn't fall in him. It was in him, but he didn't develop it. And that's how many of us are. We have many different gifts and we have talents in us, but it takes time to develop them. And you don't want to be in the mode of Issachar where, I can't say that Issachar had a bad fate, but he was never as discerning as his sons. We focus on his sons because Issachar's sons, they were pronounced. Now let me find this. It was Chronicles 12 and 32. Okay, so we're going to jump into the sons of Issachar. Now, mind you, Issachar's name meant the discerning, they who know. But Issachar was never really that discerning because he chose not to be. But his sons, lo and behold, this is what it says about them. 32, Chronicles 12:32. And the children of Issachar, which were men who had understanding of times, to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment. So he had 4 sons. and they each had clans. They went by the name of, I wrote them down so I can pronounce them. Tola. Now Tola was a judge in Israel for 23 years. Job, we all know Job. Job was a steadfast man. Puvar was the progenitor of the Punite tribe. So that was a tribe, they were agriculturalists. And this plays a part into what Moses said about them as well. Because Moses reversed the curse. Like, I've been walking through and showing you how Moses was undoing what Jacob did, right? All right, and then you had Sharon, who was one of the major spies in the Israeli camp when they went to spy on the Canaanites. Caleb and the boys, he was with them. So you got 4 sons from Issachar, and all of them were able to walk in their gift of discernment, meaning they knew when a leader was rising, they knew when a leader was falling. This gift, it was passed down to them. Now, when you think about gifts and you think about bloodline and you think about ancestry, it's very important that you focus on what's happening. By Jacob being a person that was chosen to be the progenitor of a tribe, right? With 12 different aspects to it. That means that, hold tight. Okay, this one is right. That means that Joseph had a special kind of energy in his loins, right? So as he began to produce, he produced 12 patriarchs. He produced them, they were his sons, and in turn, they produced other divine individuals. So when we think about it, it shows you how closely knitted they were in their ancestral knowledge. And it shows you also a reflection of us nowadays. Why we can't reach the pinnacle of who we are is because we're not really rooted in ancestral knowledge. Like we don't really value our ancestors, and we don't really even know our ancestors, right? Even from an energetic standpoint, many of us we literally don't know them. So when you're dealing with the sons of Issachar, you're dealing with the seed of divinity that passed through Issachar that was undeveloped within Issachar. That's many of us. We so programmed by today's programming. When it come time to ascend, or it come time for you to exhaust your conscious so that you can really, really move into a higher form of conscious, it doesn't happen. And many of us, we transition from this world and we never really reach our potential, or we never really reach our purpose. Because a lot of it lies in what your ancestors leave for you. Like, if when you think about Issachar's sons walking in their gift and Issachar not really bringing his gift to fruition, you still see that the seed was relevant. See, it was enough there with Issachar for them to develop. Like, they could easily look back at Joseph, They could look back and say, well, Uncle Joseph was a dreamer. So it kind of helps you to know who your ancestors are, to vibrate with your ancestors, right? As opposed to looking at your ancestors from the standpoint of them being evil, or this is demonic, or because I said this in last night's lecture. We quick to knock when people talk about ancestral rhythms or energy, but when we go in our houses and we gather for the holidays, what are those pictures that we got on the wall? They are the ones that we knew that transitioned. So we hold dear to them. Imagine your grandmother or your grandfather, your late grandmother or your grandfather, and they on the wall. Imagine you walking in your house during Christmas dinner and yanking the picture down and being like, man, we don't do that ancestral stuff. That's evil. Your people will look at you like, don't be yanking grandma's picture down. That's the same way you should be. You should really have that energy towards all your ancestors that you don't know. You can't knock ancestral energy but call yourself honoring the ancestors that you knew. Because many of them, they transition without even tapping into their self. So they really didn't leave you as much as the ones that's really high vibrational. I'm talking about ancestors as well as descendants. When you step into your chosen rhythm, you unlock, I was speaking last night, your Akashic record energy, or everything is an energy. Hello, hello. When you step into union with your high vibrational ancestors and descendants, that's when your Akashic record energy, it begins to flow, because it has a substance to flow from. Imagine you a person and you like, the only thing that you honor about your ancestors is the ones that you see hanging on the wall that everybody knew. That limits you. Because see, you will honor them greatly. Oh, that was grandma so-and-so. That was grandpa so-and-so. But when they get to talking about, your ancestors through, let's say you do Ancestry.com. And let's say you have ancestors in Ireland. Or let's say you have ancestors in Benin. Or let's say you have ancestors in Asia, Thailand, right? You got to honor them too. That's the high vibrational aspect of oneself. That's why we limit it. Many of us, we get trapped in different aspects of life, and we completely block off our Akashic records. Like, imagine being a powerful priestess or a powerful high priest, right? And this being on your bloodline. But you find yourself grown, stuck in a religion that's really not working for you. Have you ever stopped to think that, well, maybe my purpose lies in the ancestors that I don't know? Because you could be following what the ancestors that you did knew, and what they did may not be it. That might not be it. That's a harsh reality. But as a chosen one, when you step into your chosen rhythm, it flows freely through your understanding. It's not that you knocking. It's just that, okay, you learn to appreciate, okay, I was born at a time where God used the universe to reveal things. Now I identify that I'm chosen. I'm chosen to do this. I'm chosen to ascend at this time. I'm chosen to see that some of the people that I hang on the wall and we see at dinner, some of them was wrong. Some of them transitioned and they didn't. And it's not ever to dishonor them, because we get many things from them, but there are others. There's others in your ancestral energy. And you want to be able to bring them vibrations on them too. I want to get to Moses and what Moses said, okay? And where was this at? That's it. It might have been in Chronicles. We in Chronicles. Could be Deuteronomy. Okay. So in Deuteronomy 33, verse 18, we have Moses undoing the magic that Jacob basically cursed Issachar with. He cursed Issachar. So Issachar tribe was kind of like, they wasn't subjugated, enslaved, but they just chose agriculture as a way to be subservient to the tribe. Like Issachar, he didn't really want a lot of smoke. But nevertheless, Moses says, and of Zebulun, he said, rejoice, Zebulun. Going out, you're going out. In Issachar, in your tents, they shall call people unto the mountain. There they offer sacrifices of righteousness. For they shall suck of the abundance of the seas and of the treasures hid in the sand. Yo, this is a deep rhythm that Moses come with. Like, Moses was a serious magician. When you really look at Moses' work, Moses Moses was something serious. I'm talking about working with the element. Him and Elijah, they worked with the elements, right? But you have to read the esoteric meaning. Now, in this verse, like I said, Jacob basically gave his ninth son a curse on his deathbed. And basically was like, I don't really think you got what it take. You like to do too much for others. So that's going to be your lot in life. You want to serve others. So that curse stood up, like the curse of Reuben as well. But then we have Moses saying, they shall call people unto the mountain, right? It says Issachar. It says Issachar in your tents, they shall call people unto the mountain, right? Now rejoice is what he said, in your tents. So basically that's showing that these people took on an agricultural type of lifestyle. They lived in the mountains. But Moses pronounced that these mountains would be the mountains where people would come to make sacrifices of righteousness, right? So he basically was like, he did it. He did it basically. So he took a nomadic tribe and transfigured their energy in a way where if you wanted to really offer a sacrifice to the divine, you had to go to this nomadic tribe. That don't seem like a big thing, but that's a serious energy shift because he opened up prosperity for that clan and that bloodline where Jacob laid a curse upon it, right? And the relevance of that, for those of you who've been watching, because I want to correlate it with us and how we living. Because we live in a very Old Testament energy right now. You got witches everywhere. You got kitchen witches. You got warlocks. You got wizards. You got Lugawus. You got so many different type of energies that exist, right? So what happens is this. Once you step into your chosen rhythm and your divine energy comes, you get your upgrades, your DNA upgrades, your intuition, you unblock your chakra functions, your clairs, they working. When you get to this point and you feel that power on you, that's when you begin to do what Moses did in the case of Jacob. You have to begin to speak over your life and speak over others in your life in freedom of the generational curse that bind you, maybe your bloodline. There's a serious thing. Like it takes you to raise to a frequency where you can really receive what I'm saying. Because if you can't receive it, a lot of things, they not gonna move because you just don't perceive them to even be there. Like number one being a generational curse. If you're a person that believe it's not on you, but it clearly is, you'll never be able to build up the energy to make a proclamation that moves it. Generational bondage. Man, that's something serious. Generational, and I wanna talk on it for a minute. Spirit say green light. Generational demons, generational ancestral spirits, and all of this, you know what kind of energy they bear? They like to lay around in your life and make you feel like they not there. So what am I saying? All right, so say you got an uncle, right? Let's just say his name Joe. And let's just say Joe, he substance abuser. You watched him and you looked at him, and I'm going to show you how generational demons work in us so you can understand. Now, your Uncle Joe, who was a substance abuser, you looked at him and you became disgusted with him. That's the first hand that evil gripped you. That's the first hand that the generational demon, that's the first hole to get on you. Is when you despise the others that's bound by the generational energy, because then you convince yourself, I'm nothing like my uncle. Look at him. He out there running around, stealing, doing all sorts of stuff. And he smell bad. Phew, I'm nothing like my Uncle Joe. But you are. And then if you don't be aware that you are like him, because he's a part of the bloodline you reincarnated in. See, when your soul incarnates, you inherit the curses and the karmic depth of the bloodline you in, right? So you don't understand it, right? Because you don't really understand. So when you see your uncle and he down, you gotta you have to effectively not allow yourself to despise him, because if you despise him, the evil grips you. And then let me tell you how it works, because evil, demonic, ancestral energies, generational, they very, very patient. So what happens? When you look at your Uncle Joe and you see him down bad and he's on substance abuse, you never really get an insight to your Uncle Joe's life and the events that happen to lead him there. So what happens? When you despise him, the devil uses that energy to create the same events in your life that got your uncle where he at. You don't see it coming because many of us don't understand how these energies work. Once you let evil in any type of way through a low vibration, it's working against you. So meanwhile, you going through life, you catch one hit, you catch two hit, right? Your emotions get shaken, right? And now you find yourself at the place where you like, sheesh, I need something to numb the pain. So maybe you go and get alcohol or whatever. Because you determined that you're not going to be like your Uncle Joe, but you're becoming like him. Why? Because the energy of disdain is bringing the events that led him to be the way he is. And if we're not careful, you'll find yourself later in life right in the energy of Uncle Joe that you despise. And the sad part about those demonic energies and those ancestral spirits, they lead you there. And then when you wake up in your right mind, you don't even know how you got there. Because it's a series. Evil is very patient. It'll grip you one finger for 3 years. 2 fingers for another 3 years. 1 finger for more years. 5 fingers. So through the series of 20 years now, evil done got a grip on you, a hand on you, right? So this is how ancestral energies work through low vibrational aspects. So the way that you can really avoid that, first, love you. That's the first key, right? Don't look at nobody in your family. All right, okay, spirit. So many of you really don't even like the homes you grew up in, right? Maybe you had different things going on, or maybe, some of the things maybe you just despise a lot of things about your upbringing, right? But I want to show you how that's hindering you. Show you how it hinders you. When I was growing up, I didn't like my grandmother's house because everything was old. And she cooked with lard, and I didn't like the smell of lard. And she couldn't particularly cook fried chicken. She burnt it, So because of those things, I developed a disdain. And when I got 15 or 16, I just didn't want to go over there. I didn't. So, but one thing I learned about that old house, my grandmother taught me how a woman with power connects to the energy of her home, right? I went in there one day and I stashed something in there, right? And it was in the front room. So I happened to go in there and she happened to be sitting in the front room. So I tried to be patient and wait for her to leave. Man, I wish she'd go here so I can get. So her wisdom kicked in. She said, so what you standing around here for, right? So now I'm like, grandma, I'm just chilling. So I go to the faucet and I act like I'm getting some water. So then she walks down on me and she said, look here, don't be drinking up all my water, right? So when she said, don't be drinking up all my water, I knew what she was saying. She basically that was spiritual, because you can't drink up all the water. So she was like, look here, don't be drinking up all my water, right? So it all boiled down to this. I had to say, look, grandma, I put something in here and she said, I knew it. And I was going to sit here and wait it out until you told me. Now, that woman taught me how to connect with what I call my home or whatever, I know how to connect through it from an intuitive perspective. Why? Because I watched a woman connect to hers and she showed me. We begin to cover what we see. So don't ever, and see how I despise that, but I learned from. So when you, whatever aspect of your life that you look at and you find yourself despising it, right? I want you to learn how to draw from it. Don't despise it, because everything that you went through, it was to teach you, it was to show you, it was to make you, it was to get you ready for who you are in this time now. You wouldn't believe that our ancestors, they knew this day was coming. We didn't. They know it. The ancestors, they knew it was coming because Pisces era, Aquarius era. Pisces is the era where they hide ancestral secrets and knowledge. They hide it. Remember, they buried all the books. All of them. They buried all the books and they put together the Bible. And yeah, God in there. But that's not the only place. See, they buried all of the books that God was in that suggested that we had greater power too. But they leave enough there because the devil can't lie. See, they'll speak of the book, they'll speak of Enoch, but they won't guide you to the book of Enoch. But we in the Aquarius era where the knowledge is being unlocked, right? See, the ancestors knew this. So everything that you went through, you made it to this time, is planning to this time. Once we begin to realize that, then we'll be able to really correlate past with present and present with past. We'll begin to see what collective energy really is. But you first got to stop despising you. Because if you despise aspects of you, you're going to be a victim of the generational curse or the generational spirits that bind our bloodlines. You got to love yourself. And the reason why I say love yourself is because love is a frequency that's so high, the only thing above it is authenticity, right? Now, when you at the energy of love, it gives you the ability first to be unreachable. No low vibration can't come to love. Think of demons as vibrations that's right here. Think of love as a set vibration. See how that can't get up there? That's how they move. No matter where that thing moves, love will always stay above it. This is how you transmute energy, and this is how you alchemize your bloodline and generational curses. You grip the energy of love because it vibrates here. The demonic vibrates here. So when the demonic moves, no matter, it can move that way. It can move here, there, up, down. But love, it'll never ever be able to do that. It may seem like it, but it won't. Because every time it moves, love will be over it. So strive for that energetic perspective. Love. Love is the highest elevation. You know, they say that, and that's why. Love is the highest elevation. Why? Because what can get up there? If something moves, it moves up. Nothing moves love. So when you're trying to move generational bondage off you, your bloodline, you gotta love yourself. And you gotta love everybody that you don't like in your family. That's not saying that you gotta be victimized by them, right? All right, I'm gonna deal with this. So what about the people that's cursed by their bloodline? Because I know I feel the question in the collective. Well, what if the karmic is in my family? What if they curse me? What if they do this? Let me tell you something, and I'm gonna be real. If any man curse you or any woman curse you, you have an absolute right within your divine right to call protection and to do a return to sender, right? If that's what you choose to do. But I want you to remember this. When you do return to senders, that's you using your will to take an action. With every action, there's a reaction. You understand me? So I'm going to give you a scenario. Say your family member put a magic spell on you and put you in a jar, freeze a spell, or something. However, baneful magic trick. And they in your family, right? So this is generational energy at work. What do you think it does if you return the sender back? It hurts you more. It might free you and go back to them, but their family is your family. So see how everybody suffers? See, the danger in return to senders is it's the karma that comes with it. It's like this. When I return to sender, right? Because it's about technology. A person attacks you without merit in the universe. So you line up a return to sender. It's going to work. Because if the universe deem that person in the wrong and God see that wrong, it's going to move through the work. It's going to move through the universe unhinged because it's a return to sender. So it's going to go back with all the energy that it was sent with. Now, this is the danger in it. What if it goes back and it completely wipes out that person that sent it? Wipes out everything they doing, that family start to suffer. Now, how do you feel about it? Because it could be your karma to watch them suffer so bad, right? Till it drive you into a place where you still bound. And guess who wins? The generational energy, the demon that's on the bloodline wins. During family feuds. So when you're dealing with magic and your family, when a person send any type of spell at you, what's the first thing that you need to do? Pray a real prayer. That's the first thing. Right? And when you identify the person that sent it, never ever make war with their face in your mind. Thank you, Spirit. A person that sends a spell at you, don't make war with their face in your mind. You're not going to get to the spirit. Put their face in your mind and strive hard for the energy of love that flows from one human to another. Right? Separate the deed from the person. Then you can drive the spirit away from you. Spell word 101. You got to get down and dirty. You got to make a prayer, right? Call on God and call on your ancestors, right? For protection. That's technology. When you under magic attack, do not look to return the sender. It becomes dangerous. First, tap into the energy of God where you believe firmly and make a case with your ancestors. A real one. Speak to them. Call judgment on the matter. I've been wrong. You know, and when you're dealing with the person, again, whoever send it to you, don't make war with them in your mind. You're going to miss the spirit. No, it's a spirit. It's a spirit. And I'm feeling like generational because we on generations. So people dealing with a lot of family things inside the family. Don't ever let evil trick you into becoming the aggressor against evil. Don't do that. Let spirit fight the battle. When negative spirits push hard at you, push harder into divinity. Push always, when you feel spirits pushing off people and all of that, move away from the person as to not make yourself have to go. Move away from them, right? When you see they face in your mind, don't let anger grip you. That's the spirit winning over your conscience. Remember, the demonic fights you through your imagination. Always remember that generational spirits, ancestral spirits, demon, they fight you in your imagination. That's why you got to cast down what you imagining. You got to cast it down. Like, when a person do something wrong to you in this magic or it's by way of spell work, cast the imagination of the person out of your mind. It's a spirit at work. You got to find love. You got to love the person. I know somebody saying, man, he crazy. I ain't loving them. Well, if you ain't loving them, the spirit that's beating you gonna whip you. That's how it works. The spirit don't care nothing about them or you. All evil energies and destructive energies want to do is wreak havoc and chaos on the host or the person that they address. So what do you do with that kind of energy? You only can grip authority. You can't play with it. You can't reason with it. You only can lean into divine authority over it. And that starts with you taking authority over yourself. Ain't no magic strong enough to force your will. Yeah, it's deceptive, many illusions, but as long as you can line your will up and plug it into the right socket, you will be all right. Because you make a case. See, a lot of spell work because people sit there and keep suffering. You know, you keep running to church every Sunday, you keep running to the masjid on Jumu'ah every Friday, and you keep wanting to release yourself. You keep wanting to release yourself because you're suffering in a way. But are you effectively dealing with this thing the right way? Are you gripping the true authority, or are you waiting for something outside of you to free you from something that's coming from inside of you? See, when we bound, people think being bound means a demon grab. No, being bound is from the in out. You can't move because you stuck inside. You arrested inside. Thank you, Spirit. The Bible speaks of people being bound by 7 demons, right? They call it a legion. That's merely just the Bible's way of saying a person who has effectively lost control of all 7 chakras. It's called subjugation and possession. That's when a person is trapped by a legion, 7 energies, bound from head to toe, every chakra locked off. So that's the way that we gotta start looking at the fight. Like, what's ailing you? When the spirit push, do you get a headache? Crown chakra attack. You know. When the spirit push against you, do your stomach hurt? Right? You feeling it right here? Solar chakra, right? Attack. When the attack hit, do you feel bound, like you can't move, like you just can't find the energy? Maybe laziness, procrastination, Vishuddha bound, root chakra. Right? Learn how you feel to assess the demon you fighting with. Right? Stop looking for people to free you from these energies that require. Remember, Jesus said these kind only go out by fasting and praying. Fasting and praying is when you try and drive something from you away, not somebody else. You can't drive away something that's so connected to you. It's going to add to it. So like I said, pay attention to what's ailing you when these spirits push against you. These generational energies. That's what it is. I feel as a collective, we fighting that. Major battle. Generational spirits. Real spirits of antiquity. Evil things that been in the dark for a long time. Right? But now the divine is opening you up to be a person that can free those that come from it. It's your duty to do that. What you think the dream's about? What you think your intuition being sharpened is about? What do you think your fascination with the esoteric is about? Or your fascination with the occult? Or your fascination with the Kabbalah or the Bible or the Injil or the Torah? All of these fascinations, they leading you into a place where God is giving you more of Him because we need it. You think we could fight the evil with the messages that they was giving us in the Pisces era? They laugh at the church now, y'all. But not the physical, not the spiritual church. See, in the spirit, the collective put demons on the run. They got to get out of there. Because this is people who doing the work. I'm speaking to people who doing the work. You doing the work maybe in a different way. Man, you probably ain't seen your church members in a long time, but you never felt closer to God. God is pulling them to you. For many of us in a divine collective. you should be returning to church. And you should be returning with questions for your elders. That's what you should be. You have questions that need to be answered. And the Bible doesn't say we don't supposed to have questions, nor the Quran or the Injil or none of these books. We're supposed to have questions. So pose your questions because it's coming from your ancestors. They want answers. People, ancestors want answers. Man, there was so much damage done in the Piscean era. The era of Pisces was a damaging era. It was so much that was held and lost. And now that, like, think about it. You ever thought about this? How your conscience is elevating? Let's go midway in the Piscean era, where they would look at pyramids and be like, it's such a great marvel how these things were put together. It's unexplainable. It's a technology. Maybe they did it with hydraulics. This is Pisces energy. In the age of Aquarius, oh, we know what happened. The giants, the Nephilim that they speak about in the Bible, they helped build the pyramids. That's who built them. Them. That's why I did a study, y'all, right? And the Ghazi pyramid, it's in Egypt, right? Now, the sand in each block of the Ghazi weighs 2,000 pounds. Not only that, the sand that's on the Ghazi is from Morocco. That's 2,000 miles away almost. Explain that. You mean to tell me that the blocks of the Ghazi in Egypt, it's a pyramid. But the dirt that built it, the blocks in the dirt is from Morocco. And y'all talking about, man, think about it. This took giant beings with enormous amounts of strength. For the symmetrics of the pyramid, I don't care how many hydraulic lifts you had. You couldn't do it. I remember some scientists with telekinesis. Well, now through our Akashic records, we feel a vibration because we going back to the book. Remember, the Nephilim been in the book of Genesis since the beginning. But why they never did a sermon on it? What happened? We never got the sermon about the Nephilim. It speak about them in Genesis. They the ones who helped build the pyramids. And you know how I know? I did a deep study on it, y'all. Did you know that the Nephilim in the Bible, right? Definitely the ones that helped build the pyramids of Egypt. Most definitely, right? They were known as the men of renown, right? Because of what they did. They were renowned, the feats that they did. But then they vanished during the flood or the Epic of Gilgamesh, so to speak, or Noah's flood, however you want to say it. But guess where they show up at? They show up in Sardinia, right? After the flood. Sardinia, right? They show up there in the land of Sardinia by Italy, right? Now, what happens in the land of Sardinia that let us know that the Nephilim giants went there? The monolithic structures. They built the same way that they built with the ingenuity of the pyramids. Look in Sardinia. Put the word monolith up. It's the same ingenuity, but it's built underground because they feared another flood. So they essentially built the pyramids this way, down, underground, all over Italy. And guess what they were? And guess what these big giants in Italy were called? The Nuraghi. Same race as the Nephilim. Same bloodline. But remember, they never told us about that. So we at a place now where the ancestors is, they bringing it to you. All you got to do is connect with them. Only believe. It ain't about being no demonic person. It ain't about being, it's about making your prayers to God and honoring your ancestors. Right? That's going to get it for you. Well, listen. It was a wonderful time with you all. I will be back on here at 12 a.m. I'm manifesting something at the 12 a.m. hour. And if you're in the mode of trying to get rid of some things out of your life and make room for some things that really truly flow into your life, 12 a.m. is a good hour. But 12 a.m., midnight, It's not an hour for people. If you got bad intentions and you don't, I wouldn't play with it because it's definitely an hour of many portals. But if you a person and your intentions is right, but you just having a hard time getting certain things out, right? Begin to work at 12 a.m. That's the manifesting out hour. Like, you want things out. Because many of us, we want to bring things in our life, but we got so many hidden things that we got to move them out the way. They like invisible barriers. So begin to work at the 12 a.m. hour. Burn the midnight oil. Be up. Force yourself to be up. Even if you're making a prayer or you taking some knowledge, you set your intentions at midnight and work through it. Boom, lay it down, right? That's how you get negativity truly away from you. All right, I love you all. I'll see you all at 12 a.m. God bless you. I mean, as well as Ashe.